All right, hello, welcome. We're here at Kickenzie. This is day 2, and I'm going to do a demonstration today of this beautiful setup with this kind of a mint green jug that I got from Joyce. I think, remember Joyce? She gave me loads of lovely metal jugs, and the camellias, which came from Karen. Thanks very much, Karen. I love them. So there's a diagonal sweep here, and I'm kind of starting to notice that the energetic pull of that is something that really appeals to me. And what I want to do is to start off somewhere. You kind of feel like when you're presented with this, you need to start somewhere. And for me, I think the thing is to find something that links everything. And what have I got here now? This looks like hooker's green. And I think if I put that with some of the ultramarine blue and a bit of Van Dyke brown, yeah, it's going to take the greenness out of it and make it a little bit duller so that it can be the green that sits behind the flowers and kind of hangs them all together. So I put a bit of the Van Dyke brown into it first. Maybe I don't need the blue. And I can show you what it looks like before I put it on. Oh, would you mind turning off the water there? You see, it's kind of like the green, I think, already. But I still might put a bit of ultramarine blue into it. Veronica, did you notice they've painted the window frames lighter? I didn't know, I just knew I liked it better and I didn't know why. They were dark brown before the frames and there was blinds, which I might kind of need to reinstate for the watercolour. But it's nice not having them for this, especially this time of year when we want more light as well. Okay. Yeah, so I think I need a little bit more brown because it still looks to me to be too richly. There it is. I think it's still a bit too. Don't worry, my phone is still on as well. I thought it was mine, to be honest with you. It started talking back to me. Your phones talk back to you sometimes, you know, the Siri thing. Okay, so I put a little bit more Van Dyke brown in so that it's not as colourful again. So this is more brown in it now. Let me see. And like what you could do is hold the palette up as you're making the colour and see which is closest. That feels to me a bit too green. That looks to me to be about the colour of the greenery I'm seeing at the centre. With my eyes half closed, it's kind of dark centre there, way darker than the yellow flowers and the white flowers. So I'm going to start with that core of green at the centre as a kind of a dull beginning, but a way that I can kind of get that sweep starting to happen from low camellia down there to the flurry of 4 bright ones that are up there. So let me see, in the middle, I want to bring the jug to about here too, so that there's more space on that side. So I know that directly above the jug is a space with that green. And do you remember we were talking about, is the brush dry or wet? That brush to me felt a bit too wet there because it was starting to splash already. So I'm just really sponging off cleaning off all the water off it. Picking up some more of the hooker's green, Van Dyke brown, ultramarine blue mix. Is it set for 20 minutes now? Is that okay? Yeah, and so it's drier now. It's not flapping about, you know. But when accidents happen, you know, that's a way of make chance essential, you know, that thing. So it's exciting when something happens. You can work with it, but also make a decision. Do I want to continue in this same thing? It's good to have variety. So I think having some fluid marks is fine. And then also the dry scumbled down cross-hatched kind of mark is exciting too for me. And I want to kind of extend it so that it's carrying on up there there's a little section here. And then there's some of those lily leaves that kind of have a dark blue and a direction all their own. There we are. Put a touch more water in, a bit more blue. And remembering that it dries fairly quickly, acrylic, so I want to get to a point where I can wipe away. So here now it's more the direction than obviously the shape of the leaf that I'm after. And what I can do is maybe wipe away some of the shapes where the camellia will be located. You could actually do with some, So I'm looking at the lilies as they extend up that way, and they've got more yellow in them, I think. Oh, look. It's a lot more yellow. Well, there's yellow flowers too, I can use them. Yeah, it's okay. I think when you put out too much, rather than mixing the whole lot in, I'm going to start again over here. What am I doing now? I'm trying to make that yellow-green. What am I doing? I didn't need to put in the brown, did I? What am I doing now? I'm trying to get... oh yeah, the ultramarine blue isn't really the one, is it? It's more... I see. I think it's more the cadmium yellow and the hooker's green that'll get me there. Maybe I'll get a different brush as well. Or this one. Yeah. So the cadmium yellow and the hooker's green, I think, will give me a color that's maybe a bit closer to the light-ish lilies over here. More the buds than the leaves, really. But anyway, it's all right. There's something of a flowery. I wanted to indicate something of that, and the leaves that are down there in the light as well. It's okay. We're finding a way in. Once you get moving at all, you're kind of, it's a step in the right direction, just actually moving. Okay. So you wouldn't want to be too kind of hard on yourself early on. And I think there's also this section here. I might just do that, just because it kind of feels good to do it. And also this section here is occupied by the greenish bally flowers that are there. I forget what they're called. We've got gardeners here now, don't we? What are they called? Are they? Those green ones? Ah. So I'm going to start using the dry paper towel to, even just to kind of, I don't know, that's grand here. Maybe I'll print on something else. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to use this now as a drawing tool in order to lift out some of the light around the lily leaf. And maybe I'll lift out the shape of the camellia. Jeez, struggling to say that. I need to call that flower a different name. Oh, Camilla. Camilla or Camellia? Camellia. Okay. Oh, well done. See, ever the teacher. No, it doesn't. That's very helpful. Okay, so there's the lovely one that's kind of dancing up that way. And I mean, this one is dark anyway, so I'm not too fussed about getting that back to the white paper. One below is okay. And then there'll be some spaces. Well, there's a leaf that goes down that way. I might just stick that in. So we've got those there, and this leaf will be maybe like that area. Oh, it's a fairly bright green, isn't it? But even just to indicate the position of it, it's fine. I can dull it down later if it needs to be dulled down. Okay, and then we've got the yellow. I just do this. Look, this is high flow acrylic. I know they can't see now. Okay. Just remind me to put it back up. I kind of thought the high flow acrylic might be the thing to really get the brightness. What color is that? Might be lemon yellow, I think. Yeah, it looks lemony, doesn't it? Because I felt like this yellow, that's not really it, is it? That's not really it. This is the cadmium. It's the cadmium yellow. It is, isn't it? Yeah, the one that's over here. Yeah. So we can say about there, it might be that color. But here, it's the chrysanthemums that I think are deserving of that brightness. It's what you did yesterday, Helen, wasn't it? At the end of the day, you put those little globs of bright yellow. But I know that they're going to run now, so I'm just going to lift them off there. Well, that's kind of nice. When I lift it off the high flow acrylic, it leaves some little dots. I'll just show them there. It leaves some little dots of paper. It kind of eats into the paper a little bit. Okay. So that's another thing I find kind of helpful to shake it off and to let go. And is that Kristen? Oh, thanks. You're fantastic. Okay. What was I going to say about that now? That's another thing. What was I saying there? That oh no, it's a good thing to move your board, put it somewhere else, you know, do something on the ground. Keep yourself kind of lively so that you're not getting too fixated on what's happening on here. It has to be really good and important. You know, you're not lingering over what's happening on there at all, really. You're throwing everything at it, kind of. But there is a sense of wanting to pull the feeling out of what it is you're looking at. So the impression that I have here is of this glorious, bountiful, you know, effulgent kind of floral setup. And I want to bring that energy to it as best I can. Yeah, so there'll be some darks now after putting the light on. I think it's helpful to go back and re-establish the darks. So I've got the mixture of the same three greens, and with my eyes half closed, noticing where the green enters the pot. So it's really quite dark below that daisy. And maybe that leaf could lift a little bit, that one that I did earlier. And then in the background, there's this, in the background, there's the reddish. You know, that magenta I had yesterday was kind of good, wasn't it? Do you know, I wouldn't recommend you do this now. Just gonna let them be there so that I can see them more clearly. It was one of these tubes that had the magenta, I think. No. It doesn't even have to be magenta anyway. Maybe I left it sitting on a table. Yes, I did. Right here, under my nose. Oh, okay. So I think it's the one back there, the back of it, that I just noticed as a kind of another landmark for myself, you know. No, I don't want it to be that bright at all because it's in the background. So I'm just going to give a little indication of its position under and over that leaf, overlapped by that leaf, but significantly darker. You know, it's in the shadows, so I'm just putting some brown even over it, but just as an idea for myself of where that flower needs to be. And there's also the other white, the titanium white here as well. Just impressed that it's right there when I need it. And I'm going to put some on for the daisy that isn't gouged out. So we've got one daisy that's been lifted out, but it's been lifted out, but it's still not catching the light completely. So I'm going to just put a touch of what I'm mixing here actually is ultramarine blue and the Van Dyke brown in order to make a colour that's greyish. So I don't want it to be green, but it's looking green. That's annoying. I want it to be kind of just not the white of the paper, because the flower, the daisy that sits in there isn't that white. However, the one that sits here has got whiteness on it. Brightness of the light shining down on it catches those petals and catches these ones. And yeah, you know, even in between we could say it's just a printed version of that as well, kind of just something to represent those two whitish flowers. As soon as, like I said yesterday, you know, you might find yourself chasing something. As soon as that energy starts to come up, you want to move on. And standing back really helps too. Helps you to kind of move on as well. Let's see. So I might just lift off that. Helps you to move on, and then I went right back to the place I was talking about. So it serves me right now. And maybe lift off some of the white that kind of lifted off that flower, just to lean it up again at the edge there. And we can use this as a drawing tool to lift that out. Yeah, it's all right. I know there's a whole lot of things going on there now, but it's grand. It's kind of getting there. Yeah, Veronica, we've got these. I wonder if maybe a camellia could be explained by something like that there, you know. You just try it. Sometimes you put collage on in the early days of the painting and it's just to loosen you up. You might take it off as the painting progresses. Where would I put it? It's either there, I think there. That's the one, isn't it? Maybe I'll stick a little bit for the one down here too. Just even to kind of get a feeling of their position in relationship to each other. Might be there-ish. And then the masking tape. Oh, what's the time? Pardon? Okay. It's all right. So we'll get some. Pardon? Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So do you know what I put out there now is alcohol ink. I'm just going to be a few seconds with this now, so you don't have to. Oh, you can see it. Look, that's good. Okay. You see, what I thought I might do is put on. I've got this pink alcohol ink that to me looks a little bit like the color of the camellias. Since my struggle with that word, fuck it. Right, I just put some. No, it's fluorescent. I don't want it that bright because the camellias they're pink, but they're not that pink. And I'm going to put a bit there. Might need to be a bit bigger, the shape of that. Anyway, for now, what I wanted to try out was just putting on some of the alcohol ink, which kind of separates when it meets the water. And it feels a little bit exciting to me. Just something as a way in, because those flowers could be kind of an overwhelming thing to negotiate. And so I think it might be kind of, again, this is me trying to find the feeling of them rather than the anatomy of them, really. So this here is alcohol ink, and what it does is it kind of disperses. It kind of disperses the. I'm going to have to do the rest of this on the floor though because I forgot the alcohol ink is just going to run. If I put it up right now. So do you see when I pop that in? It's a kind of a good powdery color too, I think, to describe the. But it has that effulgent kind of feeling of the blousiness of them. And I think the collage paper is really handy as well, Veronica. So while it's down there now for my last 2 minutes, maybe, Hope, I'm going to do something to describe the jug that they're sitting in. I'm looking back and forth because I want to find the position of the edge of it. It's touching the edge of the yellow flowers. It's touching the edge of this one. So this is where I want the jug to be located. And if I could find my masking tape, as if by magic, I can find the angle of the jug. I think that's about it. And at the other side then, it would cut through the still life just about here. Yeah, and we can always, nothing is really set in stone, but just for the purposes of getting something down to describe the jug. What colour would I use for that? Maybe it's another high flow acrylic. And actually there's another alcohol ink as well. I never told you yesterday about the alcohol ink. This is that's a Caribbean blue, that's gorgeous. But there's another one, because this is nearly finished. There's another one I'll show you later. So that's the kind of high flow acrylic colour. And you can err on the side of being a bit more colourful. There's a license here to do that, just to let you know. Because I think flowers really are more than the sum of their parts, aren't they? There's something more in them that could be that kind of thing. I'm getting all wet here. Look, this is what I was like yesterday. Oh, look, that's the one I was looking for. That's alcohol ink too. But first I want to kind of disperse it a little bit more so it's not stealing the show altogether. I'm just going to take off some of the colour. And I want it to be quite wet because the alcohol ink works best when it's quite wet. Isn't that gorgeous? You see I love that Caribbean blue. But if that runs out, we have this one. Is it time?
No. Oh, well, it's 11 o'clock now. I don't know.
Oh, Hope, is that time? So when is it up? Okay. Oh, yeah, but I won't bother with the 5 minutes now because it's time for everyone to get going, for God's sake. Like yesterday, having too much fun. Okay. And I meant to bring the hairdryer, but I'll just lift that off. We can let it lying on the ground. It's actually maybe more too wet almost, you know. But as it dries, it's a bit like yesterday when you started using the neon ink. You know, it kind of shifts you forward to do something bolder at every stage. So I think if you can kind of, maybe you don't need to do it as expressive or something, you know. But for the demonstration, I think it's no harm to do that. Have things a little bit over the edge. Um, what am I saying? But I think it causes you to have a license to be more free with everything if you can bring in variety and, you know, just play really. I think it's the playful kind of thing. And if that reads as too much later on, it's possible then to, I'm just going to re-establish the edge. It's possible then to use a bit of collage over it, which is often quite a nice thing for the jug, or even just to subdue it with a layer of something else, you know. But it'll make something happen anyway. It'll take you in a new direction that may not have happened otherwise. And you know, the way we did the tabletop yesterday was to put down a bit of that. Some people do that. Some people had a looser tabletop, and then you can paint up to the edge of that so that it allows you to. Oh yeah, for the butterflies. Yeah, that's it there. It might be really nice actually. It can kind of take it, you know, with the blue and the turquoise. Yeah, and maybe peel off the surface so that it's thinner too. Okay. Yeah, a bit of bling, like, it's good. So thanks. I'll just say goodbye. Yeah, we're getting a round of applause here. Thanks very much for your attention. I'll maybe just hold that up so that they can see what that is. And then we were a little bit late getting started today, so you'll be raring to go yourselves. Now that's upside down. It's actually kind of staying put as well, isn't it? You could oh no, it's not. Okay, right. So off you go and have fun. And thanks for watching, everybody there. We'll do.